it's hard to communicate with them when you're talking to them on the phone. So like in my job, there's a lot of Cambodian client speakers. So I try to use simple wording for them to understand, when in reality I probably had that issue or still have that issue, but with more complicated English words. Um, you know, so I feel like they feel the same way I do when people correct me in a certain word that I'm not pronouncing right, you know, but I think it facilitates it when you're in person, because I guess you can use like hand gestures or a smile or like certain gestures that just not your culture have the same meaning to it.
We have a friend like at work, and she speaks Spanglish, but she uses like other words, and like when I'm with her, I speak to her like how she speaks to me, you know. And with other friends, I speak like regular Spanish.
So person. With my friends, with my mom, with my family, with my coworkers. My boss sometimes hears me, but I don't speak my boss in that way, but she hears me. She knows my personality. Usually they're Spanish slang words.
Like,
I don't know. Not chale, but I guess I use chale sometimes, or híjole, cani.
So slang is something that I do use. Also Spanglish, I use Spanglish a lot at work as well, and it just depends on the atmosphere that I'm in, the area that I'm in, what words I use, how I speak, the tone I use as well. If I use slang or not. If I'm speaking with a boss, I don't, right? But if I'm speaking with my mom, my dad, or my sisters and brother, I do use it constantly, or a lot of times with my wife. Um,
Almost every time that I go to the market and there's a Spanish speaking person, they always automatically think I only speak Spanish. So when they tell me, like, is that it in Spanish? Like, I'm just like, yes, that's fine, thank you. And I speak to them in English, and then they change their their Spanish to English.
Well, at work, there was a situation one time where I was working, and there was a gentleman, well, speaking of Spanish, because most of the guys that work in construction speak Spanish, and he was like, "Hey, don't speak to me in Spanish. This is America," and I'm just like, "Oh, okay, my bad, man." But I mean, I didn't really feel bad or anything, and I don't really take things personal. But that was the only time that I felt a little like, okay, so do I speak Spanish or not? I didn't know exactly what to do, because most of the time in construction we speak Spanish than English.
I kind of see myself using them both. Maybe not truly equally, but about the same. Because again, I feel comfortable with like my environment, like in school, with my friends, family, coworkers. Like I'm just out there. I'm outgoing, so. And then I see it with my brother too. You know, like I see how it's important for him to apply both languages to his kids, and I want to do the same thing. Opposed to my older brother in Washington, I guess he never taught my nieces Spanish, and like now it's kind of difficult for my mom to get in like straightforward communication with like my nieces. And I see how that affects her, and probably affects them too, but not as much as my mom, because obviously as a grandma, you know, you want to like get to know them or interact with them, make that close connection or relationship between them, but they can't because of their language. They understand each other, but nothing like actually speaking the same language by communicating. So I have those two examples to like make sure that no matter what, it's important for them to know both. You know, it'll be their decision if later on, once they grow up, they want to continue that. I mean, I did my job of like teaching them both. That's it.
I do feel like I am losing my language, which language I mean Spanish, because I speak mostly English at work. Um, we speak a lot of Spanish. We communicate through English a lot. Books that I read are in English. what I've been trying to do is that I read more Spanish. I try to speak more Spanish, but sometimes it's a little hard because everything around me, so it's English. Our plan, at least for my wife and I, is when we have our children, that we're gonna speak to them in Spanish from the very beginning, so they could catch it. I could still read Spanish. I could still understand it, but sometimes it's hard for me to communicate across Spanish because I've become so accustomed to speak English and Spanglish. So there's a lot of words in Spanish. I'm like, oh, like how do you say that? But I do understand it when other people speak to me in Spanish. That's,
Same with me. I feel like I am losing my Spanish because we mostly speak English. Only with certain people I speak Spanish. I try speaking to my husband in Spanish, but somehow it just turns out to it goes into back to English. It's kind of funny. And yeah, it basically like we want to raise our kids to have the primary language be Spanish. That way we won't lose it.